The titanium hull of the deep-sea research vessel Nautilus groaned under the immense pressure of the Arctic waters. Dr. Isabella Rodriguez pressed her palm against the reinforced viewport, watching the ROV's lights pierce the eternal darkness 2 miles beneath the surface. The anomaly they detected shouldn't exist, a perfectly geometric structure larger than any human construction, hidden beneath millennia of sediment and ice. Sonar mapping complete, Dr. Rodriguez announced James Whittaker, their lead technician. His dark fingers danced across the holographic interface, bringing up a 3-dimensional render of what lay below. You need to see this. The image took Isabella's breath away. Rising from the seafloor was an architectural marvel, a sprawling complex of interconnected structures that dwarfed their vessel. The design was distinctly non-natural, yet predated human civilization by hundreds of thousands of years. Are you seeing these energy readings? Dr. Rashid Kumar, their physicist, leaned forward in his chair, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. There's some kind of power source still active down there. After all this time, the discovery had started 3 months ago with unusual gravitational anomalies detected by orbital satellites. The international scientific community had dismissed it as instrument error, but Isabella and her team had fought for this expedition, convinced something unprecedented waited in these frigid depths. Taking the ROV in closer, James announced, his usual jovial demeanor replaced by intense concentration. As the remote vehicle approached the structure's main entrance, its lights revealed surfaces that seemed to absorb and redirect illumination in impossible ways. Look at the scale of everything, Isabella breathed, making careful notes. The doorways, the corridors, they're all designed for beings at least 3 times human height. And these markings. She gestured to complex geometric patterns etched into the walls. They're not just decorative. They're mathematical constants, universal languages. The ROV's cameras focused on a massive panel near what appeared to be the main entrance. As the lights played across its surface, symbols began to glow with a pale blue luminescence. Dr. Kumar's instruments went wild. "It's responding to our presence," he whispered. "The entire complex is awakening." That's when they heard it, a deep, resonant tone that seemed to vibrate through the ocean itself. The sound bypassed their ears and spoke directly to something primitive in their brains. It felt like recognition, like welcome, like coming home. "We need to assemble a full expedition team," Isabella declared, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Whatever built this place, whatever these giants were, they left this here for us to find. And I think they're still here." The next 48 hours were a blur of satellite calls, emergency funding requests, and heated debates with the UN Security Council. When the truth of their discovery leaked, religious leaders around the world began issuing statements ranging from warnings of blasphemy to proclamations of divine validation. Isabella ignored the growing media frenzy, focusing instead on assembling her team. They needed the best, not just scientists, but people who could handle the philosophical and psychological implications of what they might find. The structure's apparent size suggested its builders had been humanoid, but stood between 15 and 20 feet tall. Every artifact, every doorway, every piece of technology would need to be reassessed through that lens. "The military wants to take over the operation," James informed her during one of their rare breaks. They sat in the ship's mess, cups of coffee growing cold before them. "They're calling it a matter of national security." Isabella shook her head. "This doesn't belong to any one nation. Whatever we find down there will rewrite human history. We need transparency, not military control." Dr. Kumar joined them, tablet in hand. "The energy signature is growing stronger. The entire complex seems to be going through some kind of automated reactivation sequence. If we don't move quickly, we might miss our window of opportunity." Isabella stood, her decision made. "Prep the deep-sea suits. We're going down there ourselves. Whatever's waiting for us in those halls has been patient for thousands of years. It's time we answered their invitation. As her team began their preparations, Isabella couldn't shake the feeling that they stood on the brink of something monumental. The giants hadn't just left them a message, they'd left them a legacy, and understanding that legacy might be the key to humanity's future. The next morning, as their submersible began its descent into the abyss, Isabella watched the surface light fade away. They were about to meet their makers, and nothing in human history had prepared them for what they would find in the darkness below. Awakening the sleepers. The submersible's landing lights illuminated a vast chamber that seemed to stretch endlessly into the darkness. Isabella, James, and Dr. Kumar moved cautiously in their pressure suits, each step echoing through the ancient halls. Their helmet lights revealed walls covered in flowing script that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "These aren't just mathematical constants," James murmured, his handheld scanner working overtime. "They're instructions. Look at the repeating patterns. It's a manual." Dr. Kumar stopped suddenly, pointing ahead. There, that chamber. They approached what appeared to be a series of massive crystalline pods, each easily 20 feet long. Through the frosted surfaces, massive shadowy forms were visible. The team's collective breath caught as they realized what they were seeing. Perfectly preserved giants, suspended in some form of stasis. "Life signs detected," James whispered, his scanner beeping insistently. "They're alive. After all this time, they're still alive." Isabella approached the nearest pod, her gloved hand trembling as she wiped away centuries of sediment. Behind the crystal, a face both eerily human and distinctly alien came into view. The giant's features were noble, almost classical, but scaled to impossible proportions. The decision they faced was momentous. Should they attempt to wake these ancient beings? The implications could reshape or destroy human civilization. But the choice was taken from their hands as the facility's systems, reacting to their presence, began the revival sequence on their own. Bridge across millennia. The first giant to awaken was a female they came to know as Zora. She stood 18 feet tall, her silver-flecked skin catching the light like stars. The language barrier dissolved faster than anyone expected. The giants had left linguistic keys encoded in their facility's computers, anticipating their eventual revival. "We are the Anunnaki," Zora explained, her voice resonating at frequencies that made the humans' bones vibrate. "We were Earth's guardians before your kind rose to consciousness. We watched, we guided, we waited." More giants awakened, each bringing pieces of a story that rewrote human history. They spoke of a civilization that had spanned galaxies, of a responsibility to shepherd younger species toward their potential. But they also spoke of a threat that had forced them into hibernation, a threat that was returning. Isabella worked tirelessly with Zora, building bridges between their peoples. The giants shared glimpses of technology that seemed like magic, but held back from overwhelming humanity with too much knowledge too quickly. "Your species was not an accident," Zora revealed one day as they stood in the facility's vast library. "You were our greatest achievement and our greatest hope." The truth emerged. Humans had been engineered by the giants, not as servants but as successors. While the Anunnaki were powerful, their size and resource requirements made them vulnerable to cosmic catastrophes. They had created humans to be adaptable, resilient, and numerous enough to survive what they could not. But the giants had never intended to abandon their creation. The threat that drove them into hibernation, a massive cosmic entity that consumed civilizations, had forced their hand. They had hidden themselves away, leaving humanity to develop independently, hoping their children would grow strong enough to face what was coming. Two worlds, one future. The cosmic entity, a vast living storm of dark energy, was approaching Earth once again. This time, however, humanity would not face it alone. The giants brought their ancient knowledge, while humans contributed their technological innovations and adaptability. Isabella and Zara led the joint effort to develop a defense system that combined Anunnaki energy manipulation with human quantum computing. As the entity approached, humanity and giants stood together, two species united by common ancestry and common purpose. The battle for Earth's survival unfolded in the space between dimensions. Human ingenuity and determination complemented the giant's power and wisdom. The entity, faced with resistance it had never encountered in its eons-long existence, was finally driven back into the void. In the aftermath, giants and humans began the delicate process of integration. The Anunnaki took their place not as rulers or gods, but as teachers and partners. Together, they looked to the stars with new purpose, ready to explore the cosmos as equals. Isabella stood with Zara on the surface of their newly shared world, watching the sunrise. "We've come full circle," she said, smiling up at her giant friend. Zara nodded, her silver skin reflecting the dawn. "No," she corrected gently. "We've only just begun." Beyond the stars, the maiden voyage of the Prometheus, Earth's first joint human-Anunnaki deep space vessel, marked a new chapter in their shared history. The massive ship, designed to accommodate both species comfortably, carried a crew of 50 humans and 20 giants into the unknown. Commander Rena Martinez, a veteran of the cosmic entity battle, stood on the bridge alongside the Anunnaki navigator Theron. Their mission: to investigate a signal detected from the Andromeda galaxy, one that bore the distinctive signature of another dormant giant facility. Energy patterns matched those from Earth's facility, reported Dr. Kumar's protege, Dr. Amira Hassan, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. But there's something different, something bigger. The Prometheus emerged from dark energy transit near a dying star. There, orbiting a frozen world, they found not just another facility, but an entire preserved city. Hundreds of stasis pods lined vast chambers, each containing members of different species, some giant, some human-sized, some completely alien. "It's a sanctuary," Theron realized, his voice filled with awe. "Our ancestors created a network of these across the galaxies. We weren't the only guardians." As they worked to revive the facility, they discovered records speaking of an ancient alliance, the Coalition of Guardians. Each species had been tasked with protecting different sectors of space from cosmic threats. The giants on Earth had been just one chapter in a much larger story. But with this discovery came a sobering revelation. The cosmic entity they had driven away from Earth was one of many. These beings had been systematically hunting down and destroying the guardian species, forcing them into hibernation across the universe. The mission transformed from exploration to restoration. Every awakened species brought new knowledge, new technologies, and new perspectives on fighting the cosmic threats. The human-Anunnaki partnership that had started in the Arctic depths was becoming the foundation for a reborn coalition of guardians. Commander Martinez sent a message back to Earth. "We found our place in the universe. We're not just two species working together anymore. We're part of something greater." The giants helped humanity reach for the stars. Now together, we're reaching for something even bigger. A united galaxy, standing strong against the darkness. The Prometheus's discovery would change everything. Earth was no longer just a shared home for two species. It was becoming the headquarters for a new interstellar alliance, one that would combine the wisdom of the ancients with the innovation of the young. The future beckoned, full of both promise and challenge, as humanity and the giants prepared to take their place among the stars. The dawn of unity. 5 years after the Prometheus's historic discovery, Earth had become unrecognizable. The orbital rings around the planet sparkled with the combined architecture of a dozen awakened species, each bringing their own vision of civilization to humanity's homeworld. Isabella Rodriguez, now serving as Earth's representative to the Interstellar Coalition, watched as another group of vessels arrived through the dark energy corridor. These ships carried representatives from newly awakened guardian species, found in sanctuaries across 3 galaxies. "We've confirmed 37 distinct guardian species," Dr. Hassan reported during the Coalition's assembly, each with their own specialized knowledge and abilities. The Centaurians possess mastery over quantum mechanics. The Lyrans understand biological engineering at a level we're only beginning to comprehend. But with each awakening came news of more cosmic entities approaching from the void between galaxies. The threat was greater than anyone had imagined. These beings weren't just random forces of destruction, but coordinated hunters of advanced civilizations. The Coalition's greatest breakthrough came from an unexpected source: the combination of human creativity with Anunnaki energy manipulation and Centaurian quantum theory. They discovered that the cosmic entities were actually fragments of a broken universe, seeking to consume ordered reality to heal their own fractured existence. "We don't need to destroy them," Isabella proposed to the assembled representatives. "We need to help them restore their own space-time." The plan was audacious: create a network of dark energy generators across multiple galaxies, powerful enough to open a path for the entities to return to their own dimension. It would require the combined efforts of every awakened species, using technology that merged their various scientific traditions. Zara, now the head of the Anunnaki Council, stood beside Isabella as they initiated the network. "From guardians to healers," she mused. "Our ancestors could never have predicted this outcome." The activation sequence began. Across 3 galaxies, thousands of generators hummed to life. The cosmic entities, drawn to the colossal energy signature, approached. But instead of their usual destructive assault, they encountered a bridge home, a way back to their own reality. As the last entity crossed the dimensional threshold, cheers erupted across every world in the Coalition. Humanity had helped forge not just an alliance between species, but a solution that transformed ancient enemies into saved souls. In the aftermath, the Coalition turned its attention to exploration and growth. The guardian species, no longer needed as defensive sentinels, became pioneers and teachers. Their combined knowledge accelerated cultural and technological development at an unprecedented rate. Isabella and Zara stood in the great hall of the Coalition headquarters, watching Earth's sun set through the crystalline windows. Children of both species played in the gardens below, their laughter carrying up to the observation deck. "Did you ever imagine, that day in the Arctic, that we'd end up here?" Isabella asked. Zara smiled, placing her giant hand gently on Isabella's shoulder. "The greatest discoveries aren't just about finding what was lost," she said. "They're about discovering what we can become together." Above them, the stars beckoned, not as distant points of light, but as beacons of worlds yet to be explored, mysteries yet to be unraveled, and stories yet to be written by the united children of Earth.